more glad for the reason that we are together. And this works, which is this concert by the Agape Ringers bell choir. Bells are an ancient method of producing sound, for sure going back millennia, but handbells as we know them, a bit more modern, back into 17th century England. Their sound is entrancing, and the group you're about to hear is going to bring us all on a very enjoyable journey, and so I give you the Agape Ringers.
As Pastor said, we are the Agape Ringers, and we're really glad to be here. Carl has been with us as one of the charter members and has made this trek every Monday night for the past 40 years. It's only been 32. The next piece on the program is called Rondo alla Turca by Mozart. A rondo means that it keeps going around and around and around. The A theme is stated, then they go to a second theme, they come back to the A theme again, and then maybe a third theme. Some rondos use the form ABA. But why play something simple when you can do Rondo alla Turca, whose form is ABA, CDE, DCA, BAC, coda? And a bit of trivia, we used to travel with a quartet named Quadrille, and they would perform Rondo alla Turca as a quartet. Now that we are 30 years older, it takes all 18 of us to play the same thing. breaking a sweat, and all I have is a baton. Now for something totally different. I'd like to share with you a snippet from the Velveteen Rabbit. "What is real?" asked the Velveteen Rabbit one day when they were lying side by side near the nursery fender before Nana came to tidy the room. "Does it mean having things that buzz inside you and a stick-out handle?" "Real isn't how you were made," said the Skin Horse. "It's a thing that happens to you. When a child loves you for a long, long time, not just to play with, but really loves you, then you become real." "Does it hurt?" asked Rabbit. "Sometimes," said Skin Horse, for he was always truthful. "When you are real, you don't mind being hurt. Does it happen all at once or little by bit?" "It doesn't happen all at once," said Skin Horse. "You become. It takes a long time. That's why it doesn't happen often to people who break easily or have sharp edges or who have to be carefully kept. Generally, by the time you are real, most of your hair has been rubbed off, your eyes drop out, and you get loose in the joints and become very shabby. But these things don't matter at all, because once you are real, you can't be ugly, except to people who don't understand." If you are familiar with the passage from the beloved children's classic, you know that power that words can have to reflect both painful and beautiful truths about life. Vocalese by Rachmaninoff invokes that same power. The dissonance and minor themes all reflect emotions that can be difficult to express on a personal level, but can help bind us together in a common experience. Does that spark a memory? Yeah, if you said no, you're lying because I saw all of your eyeballs and eyebrows just raise about 6 inches. This theme would always bring my brother, sister, and I running to the TV because we knew something fun was about to be aired. And yes, my parents too called it the idiot box, just like yours did. But little did they realize I was already studying for my music degree. In 1943, a cartoon called Pigs in a Polka was produced. It was not only a nursery rhyme, but also a lesson in classical music, Hungarian Dance Number 5 by Johannes Brahms. The main theme plays while Piglet number 1 builds his house with... Good, you're awake. On the repeat, Piglet number 2 builds his house out of... A secondary theme comes in with Piglet number 3 building his house out of... Some of you look baffled about this cartoon. As the music ramps up speed to vivace, the wolf enters. This section alternates between 2 measures of fast and 2 measures of slow. Imagine the wolf running tiptoe-like from one hiding place to another. As I was re-watching this as an adult, it was much more interesting to sit back and see how the cartoon fit with the music so well. This took me down a rabbit hole, wondering what kind of people hear classical pieces and think, I can just see Bugs Bunny doing this during these measures. Kristen Diaz will be joining us on flute for Be Thou My Vision by David Schwobel. It has been played at weddings, funerals, and general church services. but most recently it was played at King Charles' coronation, as it was one of his favorite hymns. The text is based on an early Irish poem, which is an intimate plea for God to be the center of our lives, our source of guidance, and our ultimate vision. It expresses a deep longing for a personal relationship with God, acknowledging his sovereignty and seeking his wisdom and direction. These lyrics were combined with an Irish folk tune called Slane back in 1919. The melody's name is inspired by the sacred site of Slane in Ireland, near the ancient hill of Tara, where St. Patrick lit the first fires of Easter as a stand against the king. Many collaborations are accomplished when one person does the lyrics and the other does the music, such as Rodgers and Hammerstein, Rice and Menken, Simon and Garfunkel. In this case, it was Matthew Compton and Alex Giebert. And instead of doing music versus lyrics, they took challenging, warring time signatures. One chose 6/8, the other chose 3/4. And then, as they were nearing the end, they said, hey, let's put the treble clef in 6/8 and the bass clef in 3/4. It won't bother the ringers, but the director will be driven crazy. Besides the interesting time signatures, I think what we fell in love with most was the catchy little interlude that keeps reappearing between verses. You can hear the tune. You will recognize that it is Let All Things Now Living. The words were penned by Catherine Davis in 1939. Oh, and on a side note, do you know who Catherine Davis is? Good. Because after I tell you this, you can go home and go to bed because you've learned one new thing. She wrote Little Drummer Boy. And that was the second rabbit hole I went down. You can't tell they love that song, can you? The enthusiasm is just seriously lacking. We're working really hard on making that better. Are you taking an offering? Might help if I communicate with my host here. We would like the ushers to come forward at this time. And I'm going to be psychic and try to guess what questions you're about to ask. How often do we rehearse? Once a week, unless the church springs a leak. How much does the biggest bell weigh? 7 pounds more than a bowling ball. That's all. Why aren't some wearing gloves? Most common answer by far is that they don't know where they are. Are you all music majors? No, but like the carpenters used to say, while the other guys were out playing with the football, we were home banging on the keys. What does your music look like? Piano music. This is where I can't rhyme anymore. My Dr. Seuss pills gave up, and I just have to do it by answers. What are those other instruments? Hand chimes. Well, the smaller ones are hand chimes because you can hold them with your hands. I'm not quite sure why they gave the big ones the name hand chimes back there. Do you ever make mistakes? We are not allowed to talk about that. Our next piece comes from the award-winning musical Wicked. The story is told from the perspective of two witches from... We have a lot of green. Right? All of those pictures up there have been green. Nice touch, because I like your banners, but I didn't realize I had done so much green in my programming. The story is told from the perspective of two witches from the land of Oz, Glinda the good, Elphaba the bad. In this song, the two unlikely friends are sharing a tearful goodbye. Listen to the lyrics. Glinda says, I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason, bringing something we must learn. And we are led to those who help us most to grow if we let them. And we help them in return. Well, I don't know if I believe that's true, but I know I'm who I am today because I knew you. Elphaba's response was, it well may be that we will never meet again in this lifetime. So let me say before we part, so much of me is made of what I learned from you. You'll be with me like a handprint on my heart. And now whatever way our stories end, I know you have rewritten mine by being my friend. As we continue on with our 32 years together as the Agape Ringers, I can truly say of these ringers, because I knew you, I have been changed for good. Joel Rainey put together the spiritual When the Saints with the traditional hymn For All the Saints. I have loved this spiritual for as long as I can remember and was looking forward to doing some research on it for this season. Here's what I found out. The origins of the song are unclear. Great. Now what am I supposed to do while they set up? So I thought, okay, I'll start thinking about saints. Came up with one. A pastor, he's sitting in the back row, and a taxi driver both died and went to heaven. St. Peter was at the pearly gates waiting for them. Come with me, said St. Peter to the taxi driver. Taxi driver did as he was told and followed St. Peter to a mansion. It had everything you could imagine, from a bowling alley to an Olympic-sized pool. Wow, thank you, said the taxi driver. Next, St. Peter led the pastor to a rugged old shack with a bunk bed and a little old TV set that was 6 inches. Wait, I think you're a little mixed up. Shouldn't I be the one that gets the mansion? After all, I was a pastor. I went to church every day and preached God's word. Yes, that's true. But during your sermons, people slept. When the taxi driver drove, everybody prayed. The Italian song Cante Partiro was first performed by the beloved tenor Andrea Bocelli almost 30 years ago, 1995. The following year, Bocelli sang it as an Italian-English duet with British soprano Sarah Brightman, which they retitled Time to Say Goodbye. The recording of that single sold 3 million copies, over 1 million more than the next best-selling single. Over the next 2 years, Bocelli's solo version, as well as the duet version, topped charts across the world. If you'd like to go down a third internet rabbit hole with me, go to Wikipedia, type in Cante Partiro, and scroll to the section on cover versions. The song has been recorded in multiple languages by an amazingly eclectic range of artists. Some of my favorites, just to name a few, the Royal Scots Dragoon Guards gave it the haunting sound of bagpipes. An indie band, Vampire Weekend, recorded it in Italian for a special Starbucks album of groups doing covers of their favorite love songs. Even Downton Abbey, season 6, got on the bandwagon. But translating poetry from one language to another is always difficult. But whether you see it as saying goodbye or starting a new chapter, the Italian title of Cante Partiro and the beauty of the melody suggest being with the ones you love, whether in person or in your heart. George Bizet's Carmen is a 4-act opera that premiered in 1875. First performance ran approximately 4.5 hours. I will now give you a detailed synopsis of the plot. I'm just trying to see what time it is. All right, not really. In all seriousness, Carmen is a swashbuckling tale that pulses with energy and emotion, passionate dances, and hints of impending tragedy. It includes love triangles, smugglers, bullfights. Bizet based his work on a novella published in 1845, and while you often hear that the book is way better than the movie, in this instance, the fame of the opera far outstripped the memory of the original text. While I won't keep you here another 4 hours, we are pleased to perform this exciting arrangement by Matthew Compton, showcasing some of the highlights from George Bizet's Carmen. If these were children, I would have parents calling me and saying, "Thank you for wearing them out," so that they go straight to bed when they come home. Now I just get calls from roommates. We want to thank First Congregational of Oconomowoc. By the way, I like to say that, Oconomowoc, for hosting us today. Carl has been a great host, as well as his choir. We also want to thank our families and friends that let us run off and do something that we love to do. I hope you've noticed that they love to do this. Our ringers don't bite. They would like to talk to you afterwards. They'd like to know what your favorite piece is, what your favorite technique is, if you're going to come back and see us again. We do have a Friends of Agape information out at the CD table or near the CD table that will tell you more about us. You can get on our mailing list so that you can be invited to Christmas, which is coming up very soon. When we get home tomorrow night, we're not doing Christmas music yet. They were hoping, but we have a recording session to do first. As Carol Burnett used to say, "I'm so glad we had this time together just to have a laugh or sing a song. Seems we just got started, and before you know it, comes the time we have to say so long." Please join us on our encore of Bumble Boogie with snippets of Flight of the Bumblebee. One, two, three.
Another warm hand for these people. What an amazing time. What great musicianship. What wonderful music. Really appreciate this. And we invite everybody to join us afterwards because for the chance to talk, a chance to schmooze, a chance to find out about who's here and ask all the questions you want to ask, and a chance to eat. I've been told to be sure to emphasize that because there's lots. All right, thank you so much.